I would like the scrutiny to get off Bronny James. Saying like, bro, you're making $50 million, you deserve it, but that little kid that wants to see you play, don't be saying you're taking the night off when you're not ready.
For years, Shaq has built a reputation for holding modern players to a tough standard. He's criticized huge contracts, called out players he felt were getting too comfortable, and repeatedly argued that today's stars benefit from a league that was shaped by the legends before them. That's why his comments surrounding Bronny James stood out. This wasn't simply a conversation about a young rookie trying to find his footing in the NBA. It quickly became part of a larger discussion about expectations, family legacy, pressure, and how the current generation relates to the players who paved the way. What made Shaq's position unique was that he wasn't coming at Bronny the way he often goes after established veterans. Instead, he defended him. Shaq referred to Bronny as his nephew and made it clear that he believes the young guard should be given time to develop. At the same time, Shaq has spent years expressing concerns that many younger players don't fully appreciate the sacrifices, standards, and challenges that previous generations faced. So once Bronny became a central figure in that conversation, his situation naturally became connected to the broader debate Shaq has been having for years.
Have the opportunity to overthrow me, and sometimes I will add fuel to the fire to see what type of people they are. And if I say something and you respond sensitively, that shows me.
At the core of Shaq's view is a belief that the players who came before earned the right to be heard. He's never argued that former stars are correct about everything, but he does believe their experience carries weight. Shaq came up in an era where the game was more physical, battles in the paint were relentless, and nothing around the basket came easy. Because of that background, he often gets frustrated when he sees younger players receiving massive contracts, facing less physical play, and still resisting criticism from former players. That's part of why the attention surrounding Bronny James became such a major story. Bronny entered the league as the 55th overall pick, but being LeBron James' son meant his journey was never going to be treated like a typical late draft selection. Most players drafted that late have the opportunity to develop away from the spotlight. Bronny never had that option. Every missed shot, every difficult summer league performance, every stint on the bench, and every update from the G League became a national talking point. Shaq recognized that level of scrutiny immediately and understood just how much pressure came with it.
It's a very important part of basketball. But yeah, just going back and looking at my mistakes and looking at the things I did right is really good for me. But also just game by game, growing that comfort in playing my game. I feel like that's a big part of why.
What stood out in Shaq's comments was the personal perspective he brought to the situation. As a father, he understands what comes with carrying a famous last name. His own children have dealt with expectations, comparisons, and constant questions about whether they could live up to what Shaq accomplished. That's why when he looks at Bronny James, he sees more than just a rookie on the Lakers. He sees a young player trying to develop while dealing with the level of attention that most second-round picks never experience. At the same time, Shaq's support doesn't mean he's lowering the standard. The way he views it, sympathy and accountability can exist together. That's where his old-school mindset comes in. He can acknowledge the pressure Bronny faces and still believe that respect in the NBA has to be earned through work. He can push back against unfair criticism while also expecting Bronny to keep improving, accept coaching, put in the grind, and understand the league he's now a part of. For Shaq, protecting a young player from unnecessary attacks is one thing, but earning your place is still part of the job.
Great accomplishment. Would have loved to see him play more. Now this is over. I think he focuses on getting better. He's not going to be in the starting lineup, probably won't be in that second lineup, but if I'm him, I'm working somehow to get some type of rotation so I can get some time.
The moment LeBron James and Bronny James checked into a regular season NBA game together instantly became part of basketball history. No father and son had ever shared the court in an NBA regular season game before. For the James family, it was a deeply meaningful achievement. For the NBA, it was a landmark moment that added a new chapter to the league's history. But as memorable as it was, the moment also sparked another wave of debate. Some fans focused on the significance of the accomplishment and celebrated what it represented. Others questioned whether Bronny was ready for that stage and argued that more development time away from the main roster would have been better for him. That's when basketball discussions started becoming more personal than basketball related. Charles Barkley was direct with his opinion, saying Bronny should be in the G League. Shaq wasn't as harsh in how he approached it, but he still recognized the challenges Bronny faced from a basketball standpoint. After all, Bronny wasn't entering the league with the expectations of a top draft pick. He was a young guard working to earn minutes, build confidence, and prove he belonged at that level. That's where Shaq's broader message fits into the conversation. The NBA isn't going to make things easy. The media will scrutinize you, fans will judge you, and every opportunity comes with pressure. In Shaq's view, the only way to gain respect is to keep showing up, keep working, and continue proving yourself over time.
League, getting better as a player. He should have been in the G League all year. I think it was a great story for them to go on the court together. But he should be in the G League. Dan, you don't get better.
What LeBron James seemed determined to remind people throughout this conversation is that Bronny isn't just a basketball topic for him. He's his son. As the coverage around Bronny continued to grow, LeBron appeared to view some of the criticism through the eyes of a parent rather than solely as one of the biggest stars in the sport. That's why certain comments hit differently. Stephen A. Smith said he was speaking to LeBron as a father and argued that Bronny's path to the NBA was connected to his father's influence. That statement quickly became one of the most discussed parts of the debate. It wasn't just another sports media disagreement. The situation escalated when LeBron approached Stephen A. courtside during a Lakers game, turning what had been a public discussion into a moment that showed there was real tension behind the scenes.
James, coming up to me, unexpectedly I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what.
That courtside exchange made it clear that this situation had gone beyond a typical basketball debate. LeBron James has spent his entire career dealing with criticism and scrutiny from every angle. People have questioned his finals record, challenged his decisions, debated his leadership, and argued endlessly about his place in basketball history. Most of the time, those discussions stay within the world of sports. But Bronny is a different subject entirely. When the focus shifts from LeBron the player to Bronny the son, the conversation takes on a much more personal tone. That's why the reaction felt different. What started as sports commentary began to feel like a boundary had been crossed for LeBron and his family. Shaq understands that distinction as well. It's one of the reasons he can be critical of younger players while still showing support for Bronny. From Shaq's perspective, there's a major difference between holding a young player accountable and turning that player into a constant target. He's never had a problem with tough criticism. In fact, much of his media career has been built around delivering it. What he seems to push back against is criticism that goes beyond development and starts feeling like an effort to tear down a young player before he's even had a fair opportunity to establish himself in the league.
My whole life, so just me going in there and playing my game is always something that I'm gonna do. So yeah, just going in there with that same mindset and, keep my head leveled and, trying to still play my role.
Bronny's first NBA points came in Cleveland, and that detail made the moment even more meaningful. It happened in the same city where LeBron James built the foundation of his legendary career, adding another layer to an already historic journey. Bronny didn't make a huge show of it, but it was obvious the moment carried weight. What stood out even more was LeBron's reaction afterward. He admitted that he wasn't sure he could have handled the kind of spotlight Bronny is dealing with at the same age. That's a remarkable thing to hear from someone who entered the league with the chosen one attached to his name before he ever played an NBA game. If LeBron looks at the pressure surrounding Bronny and says it's a lot, that says plenty by itself. That's also why Shaq's message extends beyond one player. His point has consistently been that young players need to respect the history of the game, appreciate the legends who came before them, and understand the work required to succeed. LeBron's perspective is different, but not necessarily contradictory. He's arguing that Bronny should be treated as a young player finding his way, not as a constant target because of his last name. Both viewpoints can exist at the same time. Bronny isn't exempt from criticism, but expecting him to be judged like a seasoned
seasoned veteran from day one creates its own set of challenges. The larger debate may actually be about how young players are discussed in today's NBA. One moment they're promoted as future stars, and the next they're criticized for not immediately living up to those expectations. Shaq views that process as part of earning your place in the league. LeBron sees much of it as added pressure that can make development harder. Meanwhile, Bronny is caught in the middle, trying to grow as a player while the basketball world argues about what his career should represent.
They're going through what I call ROP. This is called the rites of passage. Everybody has to go through it.
That's really why this discussion has resonated with so many people. From Shaq's perspective, the issue was never just about Bronny James alone. What he's been criticizing is a broader trend he believes exists throughout today's basketball culture. He sees young players chasing recognition before they fully establish themselves, fans rushing to label prospects as stars, and media coverage turning normal development into non-stop controversy. When Bronny entered that environment, the attention naturally intensified because of who his father is. For Bronny, the path forward is straightforward in theory, even if it's difficult in practice. Keep working, stay focused on improvement, respect the game, learn from those who came before you, and ultimately prove yourself through performance. Not because you're LeBron James' son, not because you're wearing a Lakers jersey, not because your name generates headlines, but because your play on the court earns that opportunity. That's where Shaq's comments carry a deeper message. While his words can sound tough, the underlying point reflects the mindset of an older generation. In Shaq's view, respect in the NBA isn't guaranteed for anyone. It isn't automatically handed to a rookie, a high draft pick, or even the son of one of the greatest players ever. It's something that has to be earned continuously. And if Bronny embraces that approach, then the criticism, expectations, and even the toughest comments directed his way could become motivation to improve, rather than something that holds him back.